If you're a veteran or a first responder trying to build a rental portfolio, zoning laws can either make you money or wipe out your entire strategy. Well, today we're breaking down exactly how zoning affects your rentals so you don't get blindsided. Stick around until the end, and I'm going to give you an easy to follow checklist. Before we dive in, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next breakdown. Just in case you're new here, I'm Bud Evans. I'm a retired Air Force officer, retired police officer, and now I'm a full-time real estate investor. I use this YouTube channel to help veterans and first responders use simple practical strategies to build wealth through real estate. Today, let's talk about zoning laws, which is one of the quiet killers of rental property deals. Most new investors don't even think about zoning until the inspector shows up. And at that point, it's too late. So by the end of this video, you're going to understand what zoning actually is, how it's going to impact your rental strategy, the biggest zoning mistakes that new landlords make, and then, no kidding, real examples from the field, mistakes I've made and mistakes my clients have made, and what you have to do to verify before you close on a property. All right, let's get to it. What is zoning and why does it matter? It matters more than you think. Zoning is the local rule book. It's going to decide for you whether you want it to or not, what you can build, what you can rent, and how you can use the property. Most areas use categories like R1, which is a single-family property, R2 to R3, which is residential multifamily, C1, C2, commercial, or mixed use, or industrial. But here's the part that new investors miss. Zoning doesn't just tell you what's allowed. It tells you what's not allowed. In my company, Second Street Property Management, I've seen investors buy duplexes that's zoned single family. The city challenges the use and suddenly their entire business plan is gone. Zoning will determine whether your deal is going to cash flow, whether or not you can add another unit, whether you can convert some of the space in the house, and whether you are allowed to run a short-term or a mid-term rental, whether the property is even legal as it is. If you're ignoring zoning, you're guessing, and guessing gets expensive. So these are the three ways that zoning impacts rental investors. One, allowed use. That's what you're legally allowed to do. If a property is zoned R1, it doesn't matter if it physically has 2 kitchens and 2 meters and 2 electrical boxes. You can legally only rent it as one unit. So here's an example. Investor 1, I'll leave him nameless, bought a duplex, had 2 kitchens and 2 meters. City records showed it was never a duplex, never approved anyway. So the city ordered a full deconversion. How'd that go? Cash flow out the window, absolutely gone. 2 is density and occupancy limits. Cities will regulate how many people you can have per unit, how many unrelated adults can live in a property, how many units per parcel, and whether or not you can add ADUs. College towns and military areas enforce these rules hard. Now, let's look at future potential because your value add plan lives or dies by zoning. So you want to finish a basement? You want to add a 3rd unit on your duplex? You want to convert a garage to another apartment or add an ADU out back? Zoning is going to tell you yes or no. And if the zoning says no, strategy's dead before it ever starts. So how does zoning impact your cash flow and your strategy? Let's look at it this way. Every main investing strategy works or fails based on zoning. BRRRRing a property, house hacking a property, your short-term rentals, your mid-term rentals, student rentals, and then buy and hold multifamily. So here's an example. The investor bought a triplex planning to BRRRR it, but city inspectors come out and say only 2 units are legal. 1 unit goes away. Refi, done. DSCR, fails. I've walked away from great-looking deals because the zoning killed the long-term upside. One example was that duplex that we talked about that was zoned R1. It had a 2nd kitchen. If the building ever burned down, I'd only ever be allowed to rebuild a single-family home. That's a future value nightmare. Now, there are hidden zoning traps that burn new landlords. These are the traps that we see over and over again at Second Street Property Management. Trap 1 is illegal kitchens. No kidding. 2 kitchens does not mean 2 legal units. If zoning only allows 1, you're stuck. Trap number 2 is non-conforming use. A property may be operating legally today, but if it's vacant too long or a permit is filed, the city can revoke the status permanently. Let's talk about trap 3, parking requirements. This is big when you're dealing with student housing because cities will often require 1 space per bedroom or 1 space per unit. If you can't meet that need, no additional units will get approved. Trap number 4 is short-term or mid-term rental restrictions. And this is huge. Cities are increasingly restricting short-term rental licenses, minimum stays, owner occupancy, and unit caps. So you have to check the rules before choosing your strategy. You can't just make it a mid-term rental because you want it to be. Trap number 5 is fire and safety requirements. If you convert a duplex to a triplex, the city may require you add fire-rated doors. You add an additional egress. Maybe they want sprinkler systems or electrical upgrades. A $10,000 idea becomes a $40,000 bill overnight. So how do you check zoning the right way? Well, this is the exact process we use on every property. Step 1, pull the zoning map. Find your parcel. Never assume anything. Step 2 is read the code and look for the approved use, the density, the occupancy restrictions, the parking requirements, and the setback. Step 3, make a call. Call the zoning officer. Ask them, can you confirm the legal use and number of units for this parcel? Get it in writing if you can. An email works fine, especially if you have earnest money on the line. Step 4 is require the property file. You want permits, violations, certificates of occupancy. Now with an investor, that's a tough lift. You want variances and inspector's notes if there are any. Step 5 is confirm your non-conforming status. This one question can save you, no kidding, 6 figures. Step 6, check for ordinances. Verify the short-term rental or mid-term rental requirements. Every city is different. Know the rules before you buy. All right, let me give you a real example from Second Street Property Management. The investor bought what he thought was a legal triplex. There were 2 tenants, 1 cash-paying studio. It looked perfect. We pulled the file. Only 1 unit had a certificate of occupancy. The city required removing an entire kitchen. If we did want to increase it to a triplex, we needed new fire separation, updated drywall, electrical upgrades, new inspections, and a sprinkler system. He either paid for a full rehab or he watched 2/3 of his income disappear. That's why zoning matters. Everyone learns this lesson, but smart investors learn it early, and they learn it from somebody else. Let's talk about why veterans and first responders need to pay attention. When you're buying, your schedule is tight. Your time is limited. You need predictable systems. Zoning issues will blow up your cash flow, your renovation timelines, any BRRRR plans that you have for this thing, refinance, short-term rental strategies, any exit strategy that you have may be blown up by this. Zoning verification is going to protect every one of those. On every property I buy or manage, zoning verification is a non-negotiable. And if your owner doesn't have it, you got to get it. All right. So to recap, here are the key takeaways. Zoning determines what you can and can't do. You need to verify it every time. It affects your cash flow, your density, your occupancy, and the long-term value of the property. Non-conforming use is fragile. Understand the rules. Zoning will impact a BRRRR, short-term rental, medium-term rental, house hacking, and any multifamily deals, including student housing. And always check your zoning maps, your codes, your COs, and your short-term rental rules before you close. Hey, if this breakdown was useful, do me a favor, hit like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss the next breakdown. I'm Bud Evans. Aim high, execute fast. I'll see you on the next one.